All right, guys, very special guest, a big get. Tony Kahn, welcome to the Major Wrestling Figure Podcast.
Thank you for having me, Matt. This is great. It's great to be here on your show, and it's great to meet Brian. This is awesome.
Yeah, man. TK in the house. I'm excited, man.
Well, thank you. Your reputation precedes you, and you've done an amazing job training so many great wrestlers.
I appreciate that, man. Thank you. Thanks for taking care of those guys. And girl.
Yes.
Yeah. Tony, you're a fan just like us, a diehard fan. So you must have collected some sort of wrestling memorabilia or figures as a kid, as a teenager, maybe as an adult. I'm not sure. We'll find out right here.
This is awesome. Yeah, I'd love to talk about it. I love collecting wrestling toys when I was a kid, and I still have some, and I love talking about that. And I know that's what you guys like to talk about here. So
yeah, So you're an '80s kid, just like us, right?
I'm like a late '80s kid. I didn't really start buying wrestling toys, I think, until probably around 1990. Okay, LJNs were like on the shelves, but not in circulation.
So you can remember that?
Oh, 100%. I was deep into Hasbro's, and then I was at a Toys R Us in probably around 1990, and they had tons of Hasbro's, and I had those for pretty much everything they had, but I really wanted LJNs. And again, I couldn't thank my parents enough for embracing my tape habit more than anything else, but also the toys, and taking me to Blockbuster or whatever family video store there was that had wrestling tapes. And also, you guys are obviously very familiar with that and going to the video stores. And they took me to the toy stores too when we were on vacation, and they were really nice about it. And I didn't always get every toy, but I slowly accumulated collections because pretty much wrestling toys were the only toys I was buying for a long time. I didn't, I liked the NFL toys were great, but it's like you didn't have enough players to play a whole game. With like,
are you talking about starting lineups?
I am talking about starting lineups. Yes,
awesome,
I guess we're in. I forgot I was in we're in the hardcore fans. So I can talk about starting.
Oh, you're in a safe space, dude. Talk it out.
I ended up keeping all my starting lineups in the box after because I took a couple. I had a couple loose ones, and I was like, what am I doing with these? Like, keep them in the box.
I love starting lineups. I actually bring them up on the show a lot. I'm staring at my autographed Met starting lineup collection that I have on the wall over here. Those are obviously mint on cards still. But I think those are timeless toys, the starting lineups. And hey, you're a pretty powerful man. Maybe you can get us some modern day sports toys because they really don't exist, and it's kind of sucks.
I think it would be cool if you could buy everybody. I would love to have the whole team and be able to set up formations. And I know there's kids that would are that hardcore to do it. I just don't know if there's enough people that would buy those. But then again, and maybe if maybe there is something to it. We should explore this. You give me
flashbacks. I had with my football starting lineup, guys. I had a carpet that was the field that my parents bought me, like a little rug, like a throw rug, and I would use that. And but like you said, you really couldn't play a full 11 on 11
also because everybody had the ball in their hand, so it's
the imagination really had to run wild to make things make sense. But yeah,
it was a lot easier for wrestling for sure.
Did you have the blue Hasbro ring?
Yes, had the blue Hasbro ring with the belt that goes around the little whatever that belt holder thing is. You strap it around on the Hasbro ring. Yeah, I had that. Nice. I had several rings.
We talk about on the show a lot that we used to have our own figure federations where we'd be like the booker. We're 35 years old. We still have figure federations.
Used to do that. I swear we used to do that.
But were you someone who would just smash the figures together, or did you have your own storylines, and were you booking differently from TV? Did you have your own champion, stuff like that?
So it's so funny. I love that's awesome with figure feds. It's funny. I never got that far into doing feds with federations with figures, and I really what the first time I did it before I got into databases was actually, this is so dumb. I don't know if you've ever talked to anybody that did this, but this is my own weird thing, and maybe it's unique.
Oh, we love it. We love it.
You got to let it out. Yeah.
I had 3x5 index cards, and I would draw guys in different poses so that they were in different positions, because I would find that it would be hard, especially with some toys to do different moves. So I would draw different, and I had 10 different Rick Rudes and 10 different Dustin Rhodes. And
designing.
Yeah, just draw them out in different positions and then cut them out of an index card. And then I had a bunch of them like slotted away that could do different stuff.
Are you an artist? Like, did it look
they were
good?
bad. They're terrible.
Okay, I was like,
no, none of them are good. But they were like, but they looked like, to me, they looked like what I thought they would look like. So no, they were terrible. And but it was just something I did. And then not long after that, I got into. This might be slightly peripheral to the subject matter, but I started using Rampage Wrestling for DOS.
Yes.
And I started building databases where you just like put everybody in the database, and anybody you want to make, you can make. And I actually, this is kind of crazy. I haven't used it in several years because we're very busy. But as recently as like 2016, 17, I had a computer that still ran DOS, and I had made most of today's people, including like a lot of people who are in AEW, in DOS, and like still had a Windows that would run it. So I figure I never got that deep into it. I liked being able to do it in a computer where you could like track wins and loss. It would like automatically do it, so you didn't have to.
Oh, that's awesome. I think, we're all just fans at heart, so we all found a way to keep that passion alive, because I know for us, like early 90s, after like the Hogan and Warrior era, it really wasn't cool to like wrestling. So that's when we got like so obsessed with the figures, because where I grew up, nobody really liked wrestling anymore. But it was just me, with my figures. My figures were my friends, which is kind of sad to say.
Me too. I would find a friend every once in a while that would like watch wrestling with me, and I was like, anytime I was like it's a bad term to use now. I used to use this term, and obviously it's the last thing you want to do now. But it's a term it's grandfathered, and I used it for years. Is the virus spreading wrestling fan?
Wow.
Which is, I've said it for years. It's obviously I didn't know how that you'd want to that we'd all be faced with such a terrible virus that you'd want to maybe eliminate this phrase from the conversation. But I've always called myself the virus spreading wrestling fan, in that like I would try where any classroom setting or meeting new kids, like try to find people that would watch wrestling, and anybody that was like even remotely open to coming over and watching wrestling, like really try and strong arm into it.
So your collection kind of was really strong in the tape trading kind of form?
No, I was a big like when I your point, when wrestling stopped being cool, I probably got more into tapes. Talking about action figures, like the ones that like the Hasbros, the Galoobs were really what I was into, but it was
wheelhouse.
Definitely like that was a window. I got in too late for LJNs, and I felt like I was a little bit too old for Jacks. And I was really, by the time Jacks came out, I was doing stuff on computers. So, I think I briefly mentioned this once to Matt before, the Jacks, if I was a little too old for them, the one I had to get was the Jerry Lawler. Because it was like, it looked like it could be an ageless Jerry Lawler. You could use it for anything.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Bad Boys Series 4, right?
Series 4. Yeah. But what's so great about the Galoob and Hasbro era is that they were in scale, so you could use your Galoob Ric Flair with your Hasbros before they made the Ric Flair. So I'm sure you did stuff like that.
Yes, many times I had that Hulk Hogan Ric Flair match where it's like Hulk Hogan's like this Hasbro, and Rick's in, this thing in the Galoob position. And those are great. I think this was Lex, right? Like Lex was doing
Lex.
Yeah.
Yep.
And for sure, man. I really enjoyed those. Like Galoobs and Hasbros, and I had most of those. There was like a weird thing. This is probably really dumb, but before the Kurt Hennig Hasbro came out, there was the Sid Galoob. And I found the Sid Galoob was like, it was generic enough in the singlet where I was like, that could pass for a Mr. Perfect.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Matt, give Tony some of your people that doubled in your fig fag growing
I would
up.
do stuff similar to that. So like, my rockers, Shawn Michaels turned into Hunter Hearst Helmsley, or my Mr. Perfect in the yellow was Gold Dust, but the Mr. Perfect in the blue and yellow was Sunny. And then I would use Ric Flair as Skip. I had an imagination, because these figures weren't coming out as often as they are today. So you, as a kid, you had to just make stuff up. That's
great. You used blue Mr. Perfect as Sunny.
Well, it kind of looked like her workout attire,
Yeah, Body Donna Sunny nailed it.
And Rick was Skip.
Yeah, Ric Flair was Skip, like the blonde hair. I was just using my imagination. I think like Skinner was Henry Godwinn. The second Brutus Beefcake was Bob Holly. You know, Spark Plug Bob Holly. Looking back, like it didn't really work, but yeah, we loved wrestling, so we just had to make things work. You know, you're the same way.
Beggars can't be choosers here, you know.
It's awesome. Yeah, those are great. I mean, for me, with like the Galoobs and the Hasbros, I was really into it. Like when that next wave of Hasbros came out, was that there was like, you know, there were many editions, but I really got into when like they put out a series, and I think the 4 were British Bulldog, Undertaker, Bret Hart, and Ricky Steamboat.
That is it.
What? Nailed it.
Good job, Tony.
Yeah.
Off my head. I was like, oh, those 4, like,
yeah, it's a
at
big
the same
set.
time.
Yeah.
That set was like the one that really put me over the top, and I got all those. And then was the green cards next?
That's green is the final. Green is how it dies.
Wait,
Yeah,
so the next one was like Sean in black, right?
There's like
and
there's the
1, 2,
Sean
3
and, like,
Kid.
yeah, there's like then it gets into all the different colors. There's like a yellow card, green card, dark
Purple
blue.
card.
It was just like a wild time, and because there was no internet, so I'm sure you walk into these stores, you don't know what's coming out. You know, that was the best part about it.
Yeah, it's absolutely right. Like I would call, like incessantly annoy both video stores and toy stores and ask like what was in stock, and the poor people who worked at like, you know, Toys R Us or Target or wherever I would call like on a weekly basis. I had nothing better to do when I was like 10 years old. Mm-hmm. So like I would just call in the phone book, video stores and toy stores, whatever I was in the mood for, trying to find stuff. And then if I did find it, the trick was, you know, trying to convince my parents to drive out to wherever I found. Luckily, Champaign, Illinois is a pretty small town. Everything's like 10 minutes at most. So I was definitely very similar to you guys in terms of trying to like track down whatever I could. And anytime you went to a store, like you said, there was that like mystery element of like, you don't know what's going to come out, and there's surprises. There was this one edition of the WWF magazine where like like you turned open the front page and it was just like this spread of all these new toys.
Yeah.
And it was like, what? Like,
yeah.
When?
But that's like how you got your information. It's crazy, right?
Yeah. Do you guys remember that ad? And it was like there was like an.
I have all those magazines.
Yeah. The Doink the Clown one is that there's that one that's pretty like, well, they're all there, and you're like,
there's
what?
one that says "Undertake 'em all," and it's Undertaker with all the
under
new
that
sets
one
in front of him.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's like, I think it might be Atom Bomb, and it's like, whoa! Like I was just thought it was crazy.
And that was like the best part is like you're learning through, whether it be like the VHSs that you rent and you see the commercial on there, or you're reading the magazine. And like even now, like to this day, like those magazines, like I went and rebought them just so I could have those ads, because I'm such a psycho that I have the figures, but I want the ad, and I don't want to just like print it out or have it on the computer. I want the real official ad.
Those ads were great. The print ads were great, and also for the Hasbros, the commercials were unparalleled. You're gonna love the new WWF ring.
we recreated one of those like 2 years ago.
Did you get Jesse?
Oh no!
I wish.
Me and Matt being idiots. Yeah.
Did you guys do the Jesse? You guys did the Jesse voice?
Basically, yeah. We're impersonating
like,
Piper, and yeah.
Yeah, like so close to the real thing. It's like being in the ring.
Yeah.
That's great. Yeah. That's great.
So you guys just did a commercial for the new AEW figures, which was awesome, because I love that, you know, your fan base is so rabid, and like I could just tell, because I'm in these still to this day. I'm still on these wrestling figure message boards. I'm still on these Facebook groups, you know, whether it's as me or if I'm doing it under some hidden name because I want to like talk figure dirt with people. But the fans are so pumped for this new line. And we were there at the Toy Fair, New York Toy Fair, and the response was just incredible.
That's awesome. I'm really excited. I mean, it's a big day for us because first and foremost, you debut tonight on Wednesday Night Dynamite, and you got this big match with Cody teaming against the Dark Order, and that's going to be really fun. And then also today, our toys finally hit the shelves, and we've all been really excited about it, and our fans have been great and patient, and I think this first wave is super cool. People are really excited about it. It's one of the first things in terms of merchandising and really secondary revenue streams outside of the primary revenue stream, which is the television show Dynamite itself. it's a key revenue stream for us, and it's also just like a lot of fun. And that commercial, Cody and the Young Bucks and Kenny did a great job on these. Chris Jericho came in and Brandy, and they were in these commercials that we've been showing. They're really fun, and I really enjoy that where they show off the finishing moves, the Judas, the Crossroads, a super kick party, and a V trigger.
V trigger.
Oh, he's already. I have a copy. He got his.
Look at this, Tony. I'm a real fan. I got the whole set already.
Wow, dude.
Mine are in the mail.
It's cool that like modern day toys. You make a commercial like that you would think would appeal to kids, right? But modern day, the toy like business model is appealing to kids and dudes all the way, past our age. Guys that are 30s, 40s. They're just sentimental about toys and still collect.
Yeah, there's no demo here. It's not like I'm like trying to get like a Target toy to anybody who wants to buy the toys.
Yeah, there's not. It's like if you're into it, you're into it. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, it is awesome, and like people of all ages, but like it is cool. It's amazing to me how many people were like excited about this, but it's also not surprising to me because like same as you guys, I've always loved wrestling toys, and I think it goes hand in hand with a great wrestling company. And we're obviously not the first company to have toys, but I think the toys we are putting out this week, are some of the best action figures that anybody's ever done in wrestling. That the realistic details, everybody had their head scanned. Some of them were actually at All Out. A lot of them were done at All Out, and Jazwares came and brought the machinery and put everybody in the scanner, and they've got enough designs and they've got enough realistic heads that they could be putting out toys, I think, for a very long time with those. But they're a great partner, and Walmart's a great partner, and that's really right now for the rest of 2020 where primarily you'd get them in retail, and then obviously you guys have gotten them online. It's funny, Brian.
InsideCollectibles.com.
Ringside Collectibles online.
Use discount code MAJOR. You can save 10%. Did you know that?
Thank you very much, Brian, for that. I appreciate that.
It's on the house.
We just got the little bit of the bubbly exclusive.
Dude, that was like
exclusive.
Honestly, a
Have
mind-blowing
you held
product.
that in your own hands yet, Tony? This is one of, if not like the best packaging for an action figure ever.
I've not held the actual packaging.
You haven't seen it?
It's so dope. I've seen it. It's so dope, but I haven't actually held it yet.
This is a true story. Matthew and Chelsea sent a little bit of the bubbly to my house last month when my daughter was born as a gift. Very nice gesture. 2 weeks ago, Ringside sent the bubbly, the toy. I left it on the counter. My wife came in and goes, "They sent more?" Because it looks exactly like a bottle of champagne. Like it's unbelievable. Like it's beautiful.
Awesome.
So
they did a great job with that. It is awesome. For me, like that part of it, like just hearing like that you got a kick out of it, that makes my day. I mean, it's like really fun, but this is like the stuff I look forward to with when we put this toy line out, but also doing the show with you guys because you guys are such fans. And when you did the Kenny V-trigger there, Brian, it's funny because when Kenny actually does it in the commercial, it reminds me so much, and it's like the last person you'd associate Kenny. It's the last person you'd associate Kenny's style of wrestling with. But like when Kenny does that, like V-trigger, it reminds me of Andre the Giant. But he was like, V-trigger.
I think the commercial's so good because if you're older and you get that it's a throwback to like the Hasbro era,
of course,
like you appreciate it. But like the kids, these new fans, that's what I think are so good about these figures. Like these little kids are gonna walk down the aisle at Walmart, get their parents to buy it. But then there's these diehard adult collectibles who are like, stalking Walmarts, driving to Walmart after Walmart to get these figures. Like the demand is so high for these things. Like people are so pumped.
There are a lot of young people that watch the show too. So like I know for a fact that like there's a young audience that this is right up their alley. And obviously, like you said, that the toy collection knows no bounds in terms of age or gender or any other demographics you can put on it. I think it's for everybody. Just like my shirt. But it's like, for me, I really excited for line 2 coming out very soon also, which has got some awesome ones in it. I'm sure you guys probably know all about the second wave coming out after today's.
Oh,
MJF, Lucha Bros, Dustin.
Yeah, your guy.
Really cool.
That must be cool for you, Brian, to see an MJF toy.
This year, Matt and I have a Legends figure coming out where we're the Edgeheads that slipped through the cracks before our departure. So in the same year, I have a Legends figure coming out and a figure of a guy I trained, one of my students. So that's just a very like kind of, pretty cool thing going on.
It's also, I mean, it's huge, and MJF outside of the world of action figures also doing very well. So you've done quite a great job on that one.
Thanks, man.
Really pleasure working with him, despite him.
Yeah, we're saying too many nice things on him. Let's stop. So in the toy industry, we use this word a lot on the show. It's called toyetic. So let's fantasy book a little bit more. Guys that aren't on the horizon but might be. And I'm gonna exclude Luchasaurus because he's obviously toyetic. Who do you think is a very toyetic AEW superstar that you'd want to see, get a shot in the line?
Who's not in one or two?
That the public
without
doesn't
telling
know about.
anything about
You don't have to stooge. You don't fantasy book. You don't have to stooge off real
Orange
information.
Oh yeah.
Yes. Yeah. I think Jazwares is going out of their way to figure out the technology of how the hands are going to go in the pockets.
Yeah, it's not. I guess technically you're right because he's not in wave 1 or 2, but they have done some preview.
Yeah, but
stuff
that's going to be pretty cool. That's never been done, at least in wrestling figure history. The hands in the pockets. That's going to be interesting. But you have the right guy on the case. Have you dealt with Jeremy Padawer very much?
Yeah, Jeremy's amazing.
I mean, he is the godfather of wrestling figures. So we have a lot to thank from him, and the things his contributions to the business have really kind of revolutionized wrestling figure collecting. So you got the right guy on the job.
Yeah, I was telling Cody this from day one when I heard you guys were dealing with Jazwares. I'm like, oh my God, Jeremy, he gets it. He's the Jazwares is the perfect company for you guys because Jeremy is the one who, in the early 2000s, realized that these figures, yes, they are for kids. At the end of the day, these are toys. These are for kids. But he realized okay, there are adult collectors. We can cater to kids and adults. And I think that's what's so good about the AEW figures is because they're so articulated that little kids can put them in any position they want. They can have the ultimate AEW fig fed with all their figures. I mean, they have the ring. The belt is out there for the kids. And it's so detailed too. It looks like a real replica. Dude. But it's a plastic toy, but it looks so good.
The Young Bucks can do their pose. Their torsos bent. Their torsos bend to do the pose. It's incredible.
Right. We get it. You have the figures. I don't have it yet. We get it.
Come on, man.
Rubbing it in.
You got to have some kind of
Bucks, they're wearing their Elvis suits from Double or Nothing, which is one of my favorite outfits when they were with the Lucha Brothers at Double or Nothing in the AAA tag title match.
Yeah, the jacket they come with, it's out of reach for me. It's over there on my couch, but they're unbelievable quality to this thing. It's pretty impressive, man. They did a great job.
That's awesome. I mean, it's really cool. We got, we've been plugging them left and right, but Brian, nobody's done a better job than you. So
there you go.
Yeah, with that Jericho, when I opened the little bit of the bubbly, I like to let him breathe, as we say on the podcast. We let him breathe. We open him up,
Loose.
Lucy,
yeah, loose,
right?
Lucy, he knows. He knows the lingo.
That's right. But once I opened it up, I was like, man, I need to get another one to keep in the package because the package is so good. So I feel like a lot of the fans are going to keep some in the package and then get them loose, buy in two. And then you have the chase figures, which is great for the collectors. They can go and try to get the harder to get figures. So I think this line is just going to, deliver on all cylinders because you got the little kids buying it because everyone looks toyetic, everyone looks cool, and you can put them in any pose. And then the diehard collectors are going to be trying to find those chase figures. So I can't wait to be a collector again of these figures.
I don't do anything halfway. I always believe in if you're gonna start something, do it all the way. And that's where with these toys, I'm so excited that we have wave after wave of awesome personalities, but also the quality of the toys themselves is so awesome. I've followed, I've always been really serious. I've loved toys. It was, like I said, it wasn't the longest window, but I used to read Action Figure News and Toy Review.
Yeah.
Lee's Action Figure, right? Isn't it
Lee's Toy Review.
Lee's Toy Review, yeah.
I'd get the Beckett for cards.
Beckett, yeah.
And the Action Figure News and Toy Review for the toys. And those were the two. And I would sometimes try and get the info I needed in the store. If I couldn't get my parents to buy these periodicals, I would try and price my cards out while they were grocery shopping or price.
Oh, yeah.
That should be the next move, man. All Elite Wrestling trading cards, because the trading card industry right now
It is a move.
Fire.
Oh, look at that.
Okay.
It's happening.
Breaking news.
Breaking news here on the Major Wrestling Figure Podcast.
And it's going to happen. It's going to be a huge deal.
Awesome, dude. I mean, the timing couldn't be better for that. I'll tell you that right now. I mean, cards are on fire.
Totally.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I love cards, and we could do another card podcast and talk Beckett's. And
I would love to do it.
Cards all day. That's yeah, we're going to do it.
The card game is something that I was into as a kid, and now like I only do my cards because it just gets too dangerous. Because sometimes if Brian and I are on the same card, we have to like outbid each other on eBay. If like a rare one pops up online, we're bidding against each other to get that rare card. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
Oh, you guys don't want to do that. I think you guys should just like maybe like get a. Have you guys ever considered maybe building like a joint collection, teaming up like you used?
I don't
like
know.
you putting the band back together.
No,
and maybe
we're way
like,
too selfish for that. No way.
Think about all the money, the sands. You know, all this stuff lost in the sands of time. All this money that's getting. You could have maybe teamed up, and you know, I'm just saying.
The
maybe
problem is with cards, there's like one of ones. So like, if he gets it or I get it, that's it.
we could share.
Ugh.
Tony, you'll love this story. We've told it a bunch on the show, but when Brian and I we first kind of met, we met at wrestling school, and we weren't quite like friends yet, but we just started becoming friends. Like if we broke the ice with each other when we realized, we're both 18-year-old kids who still collect figures. So Brian had another friend who went to Toys R Us at the time, and there was the set of wrestling figures. It was the way it was shipped was like 12 figures and 2 sets, so set of 6. And his friend bought a set of 6 and hid the other set of 6 for Brian. And Brian was going to be a nice new friend to me, and we were going to go to Toys R Us and split it 3 and 3. But behind Brian's back, I had sent a text message to my dad and said, "Dad, go to Toys R Us. This is where the 6 figures are hidden. Go get them." But I didn't tell Brian I did that.
Bro,
so Brian and I went to Toys R Us, and I was like, "Where did the figures go?"
This story gets worse. Yeah. Story gets worse. He went with me, knowing they're not there, pretended like, "Oh my God, they're not here. Shucks, pal. We'll get them next time." And I'm like, I thought nothing of it. Whatever.
Pretty backstabby.
Yeah. This is how our relationship started, by the way. And then drunkenly, like 3 years later, he just randomly tells me that he sent his dad to get him behind my back.
What else isn't he telling you, Brian?
I know.
All is fair in love and figure hunting. That's what I say.
That's the point of the story, I guess, right?
Well, I hope hopefully he brings the same hard work, do anything it takes to win mentality to tonight's match, Matt.
I really hope so, because
tonight you bring that same intensity to Dynamite.
Well, my money is on Alex Reynolds and John Silver, and they're going to kick his ass. So, simple as that.
That's not stop. I'm wearing my new AEW hat. Okay, I got the new shirt. Shop AEW.com. It was one of the.
That's
top
not going to save you from the Dark Order, all right?
It was one of the top sellers on Shop AEW Pro Wrestling Tees this week. So make sure you pick that up if you haven't. But AEW it's just so cool. Like the shirts are so cool. The merch is so cool. Everything is so cool. Like I love that. Like if there's a catchphrase or something topical, bam, there's a shirt right away. I love that you guys are so on top of it.
Yeah, man, I love that. You have to be on the pulse, just looking for like fun stuff, and not everything is going to stick. But the fact is, a lot of stuff has stuck, and a little bit of the bubbly, like you guys referred to earlier, is a perfect example. We've launched brand, we've launched sparkling wine that sold out and was hugely successful, and then this great action figure collectible set based on
timeless,
that.
Yeah,
right.
All based on what it was originally kind of frankly a throwaway line by Chris. I mean, there are no throwaway lines. It was meant to be like, it was fun, but it wasn't something we thought was going to be the next big idea. It's great.
So Tony, do you think maybe we can bring back some VHSs, get some AEW VHS tapes? Imagine that. Bring back.
Why would you need that?
I don't know. It just I said just throwback. Maybe they don't actually have to work. But
Tony,
you can have the box.
Here's the real question: do you still have your tape collection?
Yes, I do.
You do.
I do. My parents' house still has thousands of wrestling tapes
and
in it.
They're not converted or anything. They're truly the VHSs. Like,
there's no point. It all showed up. It was all the
really?
stuff we thought was never going to show up, and it showed up. Like the tapes that got rescued. Those 16 millimeter Mid Atlantic films. Those were probably the rarest thing I had. Like when I got them, I was told don't trade these to anybody. Don't let anybody have this because nobody has this right now, and it's like super rare. So. In like 1996, I had those Mid-Atlantic 16 millimeter films that are all over YouTube now. But in 1996, really nobody had those.
That's crazy.
And that was great stuff. So I still have that stuff, but it's all over YouTube now if I wanted to watch it. And frankly, everything I have is probably available, through a streaming service or YouTube. So yeah, I don't have much in that you wouldn't be able to find someplace else, but I do still have all those tapes. I never went through converting them though. The other thing I was bad about, and this is terrible, I didn't have enough labels. So at one point I was and again, this is like, stupid, the things you don't account for. At one point, like in high school, I was chronologically like stacking them and just taping stuff every week and like taping, the Monday night shows and stacking the tapes. So like they were in chronological order, but I just, you don't have that many of like the labels. And if you try and put like a Post-it note on it doesn't really work. Yeah. And like the tape only came with like a certain, and I would reuse tapes a lot too. So like a lot of times they weren't like properly labeled, but like the problem with this system is like if stuff got moved or if like, your mom's going to come like vacuum in your room or like your stuff. Right. In high school, like I had a lot of stuff. I have a lot of stuff that's not necessarily labeled too, but I would just tape everything every week. But I also would collect old stuff and trade it. And VHS tapes, I mean, I'm so fond of them. And one of the great things about like YouTube is there's so much great stuff on there and it still looks like VHS. So even though it's not, you watch it and it reminds you.
Yeah, totally.
But a lot of the All Japan stuff that showed up in the classics, there's that, is it Classics Pearl 83 or Pearl Classics 83, I think, on YouTube? That thing is amazing. There's so much All Japan.
So frustrated with my students because I'm like, you don't understand. When I was a kid, like if I wanted to like see somebody wrestle, the lengths I had to go to like seek out more of this person. I'm like, you could study anyone ever basically for free on YouTube right now. It's like ridiculously different. Like take advantage of that,
Yeah. It was so hard to find Chris Jericho before, especially before ECW, he'd done the Thrill Seekers and, you could look out like the J Cup or especially the Wrestle and Romance, the July 7th, 95 show. I got that tape like in 1995, but probably like before I was like 12 at the time. And Chris was one of my favorite people. And really before he showed up in WCW, it was like impossible to find his stuff. And now everybody on the internet would know Chris, that 1995, 1996, 20-something-year-old version of Chris Jericho. Yeah. Everybody would know him now as the hot next guy. And the buzz would be insane.
He'd be challenging Cody for the TNT title, probably.
That's a very on-the-nose comment.
Was there anything else besides like tapes or those Hasbros that like wrestling related that you collected as a kid? Like, were you like, I'm a weird foam finger guy. Like I might have every.
That's such a ridiculous statement.
I might have every
like
foam finger ever made. Like maybe like I'm missing 10. And why do I have these, Tony? I don't know. They're just stacked in my garage. But like Chelsea, she hates them. She's like, "What are you doing with these things?" But it's like, it's just one of my weird things. I just, as a kid, I loved foam fingers, and then like now with like eBay, I've been able to track down ones that were like in the catalogs that I never knew existed. Or sometimes now I'll be watching an old event and I'll spot a foam finger in the crowd. I'll add it to my list. Like, oh, I need this. I need the Smoking Guns, foam hat. So
the Smoking Guns foam hat.
Yeah. It's on.
We all need that. Yeah,
it's on my list.
Do you only collect wrestling foam fingers or all foam fingers?
Just wrestling foam fingers.
Okay. I have a friend who has like every baseball foam finger, but I've never heard of anybody doing wrestling.
Yeah, you should see some of the weird wrestling stuff. Like there's like an atom bomb, like a football bomb.
Yeah,
there's like
the Nerf bomb.
The Nerf bomb. Like I found some weird stuff. Like just recently too. Like a Lawrence Taylor foam finger. It's like if there's anybody out there who has some weird stuff, hit me up on social media because I'm always looking for some foam items.
Was this an interview question or a plug for your personal collection?
Well, I did want to see if Tony collected anything weird.
I did. So, I mean, other than, I think we talked on cards a little bit, and I had the WCW cards. We still have some of those still circulate backstage at AEW shows, like the occasional Arn Anderson card or something like that. Yeah. Or like a Ricky Morton or something fun like that when those guys are here. But yeah, I'm trying to think of what else I did collect other than like all these toys, and there's other toy lines that I think we haven't even like touched on really that were fun.
Oh, Tony, if there's other toy lines,
you want to talk? Baby. Yeah, let's hear it. I mean, I like that we talked about starting lineups already.
What were those weird these were like right around the same time of the Jacks. Why were those weird WCW tall? Like they were like LJNs that vibrated.
We talk about this a lot. We just call them the vibrators. It was one series. It didn't last long. Go figure. But eventually, there's an episode of Toys That Made Us that kind of covers it, where you got the guy that was behind making those, and he knew Big Show, and Big Show finally told us recently that guy told him that the idea was that they were so mad they were shaking with anger to fight each other.
Really?
Yes, and we were like,
now I know what they were for. Okay, because nobody could figure out. Okay, so here maybe just like random toy questions, and these are probably ones you've covered, but I'll just throw a bunch of random ones out there. Because other than, like I said, I would make a lot of guys in databases, and I wrote a lot of wrestling cards. I've been doing Dynamites for 25 years, but by the time you started doing Dynamite, pretty much I started doing everything on a computer.
Right.
What I would say is, first of all, why was the Jax Vader so skinny?
Yeah, it's a very excellent question. Those first couple sets, they're like, some of them are completely out of scale, and then years later they reuse that Vader body for D'Lo Brown.
But it makes a great D'Lo.
Like,
yeah, that's perfect.
Yeah.
That's great.
It worked for D'Lo, but then it's like now if you're still using Vader in your fig fed, now Vader's like really skinny, and now it really doesn't make sense.
Yeah, that was weird. I never understood that like really skinny version of Vader. Also, like I never like the Rockers you mentioned earlier. So the original tag team pack of the Rockers. Those tag team packs, first of all, were really fun. I thought it was cool that Demolition had the masks, and it was kind of like they used the same Smash, but you could get a Crush. So it was like it's a pretty good scam.
Exactly.
Even if you had a Smash, you might still want the Crush.
Yeah, that's right.
I thought it was very effective, and also you mentioned the Rockers, and when I think of the 2-pack, I mean there was the Bushwhackers also, but they made the Nasty Boys with the Rockers. They I didn't ever understand
jumpers.
when he would like squeeze like the body down, like Shawn Michaels' body down, his torso would actually like go down to his knees, and like I couldn't. It seemed really weird to me. I never understood that.
We call those the jumpers. I guess the idea was that like the guys that designed those Hasbro's were looking at the LJNs as like, well, these didn't do anything. Our toys are like gonna do stuff. I think that's just the simple way to break that down. So.
Yeah, I can see that.
They kind of fling them and do a drop kick and cross your, go across your ring or whatever you want.
I can see that.
For the record, I will say I am not a jumpers fan. I hated the jumpers. I hated how the thing was on their back. Kind of took me out of it. It kind of took me out of the realism.
I'm sentimental to the jumpers. I like the jumpers a little bit.
I thought the it's hard to beat the Series 1 Hasbro Randy Savage with the arms where you can go up and down, and you can do pretty much, whatever, suplex guys. You can do the elbow, and that was a really great toy. Weirdly, when the Macho King came out, had a lot more hair and looked a lot less like him, and I thought that was weird.
That Macho King figure, I don't know if you know this, Tony, but there is an alternate version where it says Macho Man on the butt.
I know.
You do know.
Okay.
He knows.
I am aware. I know that. Yeah. Wow. Yeah, that's right.
The one thing that I hated about the Macho Man figures is that the wrist tape was molded on, but it wasn't painted.
Yeah, it was weird. Peach tape. It's like transparent tape or something.
This is the pre-wrap. I always hated it. I love the one with the jacket because it looks so cool, but then you can't really like wrestle with that with the plastic, strings coming down his arm. Like, what are we going to do with this? Yeah.
That's true, but that was cool just to have one that was him in the full neon with the tassels and everything. That was neat. But I agree, like today, you'd have a jacket you could take on and off ideally. One of the best positions I thought was the headlock punch. And I really like, the Ric Flair that came out of that. It was cool to have a WWF Ric Flair. But I always thought it was kind of weird the shoulders blade would also go through. Like the guy
to give that shot, yeah,
that one. It was like I always liked that for Rick Rude because he was able to do the Rude Awakening if you put it up for the neck breaker.
Yep.
But then Rick Rude was so jacked, and then in a similar situation like the D'Lo Vader, then they make 1, 2, 3 Kid with the same body, so it's it works for 1, 2, 3 Kid, but not so much for Rick Rude.
With the 1, 2, 3 Kid story about his figure, I agree 100% on the toy itself, but what I didn't know about the card packaging was the thing about the eyebrows.
Yeah, very, very famous story he likes to tell, yeah.
That's a great story.
That figure has spiked in value this past year. It's like $1,000 toy.
Really? Yeah. What are the Hasbros that are the because I still have some Hasbros on the card, and I haven't looked at prices in a long time. So what are the Hasbros that are valuable?
Right now, pretty much almost all of them have some.
Yeah,
value.
basically everything on the card is worth money.
Really?
And yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Green cards, that last set, like we're talking about, like Adam Bomb 123 Kid, that's like the main wheelhouse of valuability. And then what the real be all end all are the mailaways, if you're familiar with them, that came in the baggies.
Yep. I've heard of those. So like, what were the mailaways?
Hogan, Brett, and Taker, and they're slightly different. Like Hogan's in like an all red, almost like WrestleMania 9
Right.
run-in outfit. Yeah, those are just spiking. I think a Taker went 2 weeks ago in the bag for like $5,000 on eBay.
Wow.
And
Yeah.
I need that. I need that one because my Undertaker, like they're just in like clear bags, but they're all like numbered, like almost like a serial number. So like the Hogan has one serial number, the Bret and the Taker, and for some reason my Taker is in a Bret Hart bag. So like it's eating me up that like I have to spend like if I want to get a correct Taker, like $5,000 for this figure that's just gonna sit in a display case, and it's not even like that different from the other Undertakers. It's almost identical. So it's like, oh my god, it's bad. It's real bad.
You're a completist.
I'm a completist, especially Hasbro's. Completist, baby.
That's why collecting's addicting, and that's the way it works, man.
What's a yellow card? Yellow singlet, Mr. Perfect on the card worth?
250, 300, maybe.
Really? That's great.
Yeah. Someone has an autographed one on eBay. It's pretty cool.
Wow. That's
Yeah.
awesome. That is awesome.
Yeah.
That is one I know I kept. There were a few I just couldn't bear to take out of the box, and there were a lot I played with, but I know I kept my Mr. Perfect on the card because I always thought maybe someday that would. I don't know why I thought that would be worth something.
So the real question, Tony, is when you get the new AEW figures, you gonna have them loose, or you gonna keep them on card? What are you gonna do? You gonna get two? What are you gonna do?
Yeah. You gotta have like a desk or something.
I think we might have to go
Right.
one of each. I think we might have to keep a set in the card, and then keep some loose guys floating around the office. I think would be really cool. I'm excited to have those. So I definitely am going to have some loose ones, but I think we'll keep a set on the card. I have some starting lineups that I got retroactively. I had a lot of starting lineups as a kid, but got some of the Jaguars players.
That's cool.
On the card. So Tony Baselli and Mark Brunell.
I'll say Mark Brunell. That's the one I'm picturing that one. I had that.
Yeah. Fred Taylor's a
Yeah,
great
Fred
one.
Taylor. Yeah. Cool.
So those are great. And I love those.
I actually crossed my mind when I got my Unrivaled Series 1 from RingsideCollectibles.com.
All right, we get it.
Use discount code MAJOR, save 10%. In the package, I throughout the time in the business, I get my friends figures and I have them sign it for me and I hang them in my gym. These things would look really nice because the packaging is very eye-popping and nice, and just it's like simple and like perfect. That like they would look great with autographs on there. That really crossed my mind actually when I was opening them. So it's another thing to be think about.
Well, that's once we get. I mean, that's definitely something to think about for collectibles, and obviously once we get back into where hopefully we can return to live meet and greets and signings and stuff, and people will be able to bring them in and get signed because there's nobody better than the Young Bucks and Cody and Kenny and all of our people about signing autographs. They do really well with the meet and greets. I was hoping at C2E2 next year for Revolution. That would be a go, and we'll see where they are, and if there is a C2E2 next year, and if what the status of that is, there'll definitely be Revolution too. I'm excited to see where that goes. I mean, one of the cool things about it is with people being able to shop online for these, anybody anywhere can still shop for them, even if you're freaked out about leaving the house right now, which a lot of people understandably are. But for me, like, I keep trying to think of like other stuff I collected, and I don't have like a foam finger collection or anything like that.
No?
I have some like weird. I have like stuff that's valuable to me, but I only keep stuff like of great value, like that is sentimental. I have a piece of a table I got when I was 12 years old that a friend gave me at an ECW show, and it was the table that the Pitbull's Super Bomb Francine threw.
Wow.
And I got a lot of people to sign it when I was like 13, and I have like the Sandman and Paul Heyman and New Jack and a bunch of people on it.
A young Tony Kahn going to a live ECW show. What do you hit the merch table? Like, what do you buy?
Got a Taz shirt, which is funny now that I work with Taz.
Yeah, definitely.
But I have a Taz shirt. You can actually see me. You guys may have this. I've said it on a lot of podcasts, but never to you guys. That you can actually see me on the Doctor's Inn, which was August 3rd of 1996. If you look in the crowd for like an orange shirt facing the hard cam, often holding tiny little yellow signs that are impossible to read on television, made by a 13-year-old. But I think they might have been. I will say this: I think you could probably read them if you were there, but you wouldn't be on TV.
Yeah.
But it was cool because I had a sign that said like Chris Jericho is the best wrestler in the world, and it was like in tiny letters on a little 8.5 by 11 piece of paper. But like I think Chris walked by and I think he saw it, so that was cool. For me, like the merch table, the one thing I got that I was really excited about was a Taz shirt, and I wore that to the show that night. And
That's awesome.
it was
13 at ECW show. You had to be terrified.
My dad was super cool, and it's certainly big move on his part to bring me. And to be fair, I think I'd earned it because they told me if I got into this school, if I passed the test and did everything, I could pretty much get anything I wanted. To be fair, it was actually a bait and switch, kind of like the one Matt pulled on Brian, because they told me, take the test, prove you can get into this school, and then you'll know you got in, and you'll know at least you'll have the peace of mind. And then I took it, and I got the score I needed, and then they said, well, you're going. And I was like, well, that's a trick. You tricked me. And they were like, well, you can have this summer. We'll do something nice before you start school. Whatever you want, we'll do. It was within reason. And the RSPW convention was at ECW in August, early August of, in fact, like literally, I think this week would be the literal 24 year anniversary. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And it was Chris's last show in ECW too, before Chris started where we're at now on TNT. It was scary. It was kind of not scary, I would say, because I knew people there, but I probably should have been more concerned about it because it was pretty ridiculous. And my dad was super chill about it, but I had all my friends from the internet were there, and those were probably at that point before I hadn't really started my new school yet. So like I was kind of between schools, and they were my internet friends at that point when I was 13 were probably some of my best friends, even though I'd never actually met him before or seen him in real life because there was no video chats like this in 1996. So yeah, he was great about it, and my dad followed through on that. And I think the ECW toys didn't come out for a few years after that, though, right?
Yeah, they're
like
99, 2000. Yeah.
Yeah. So it was. I missed the way.
Complete collection right here, and every single one autographed, by the way.
Now that is pretty cool because I would imagine, like with a lot of the people in that toy line, obviously a lot of those people are no longer with us. So that's probably
some
really
of them
cool.
are pretty difficult to. The Mike Austin one was like my holy grail, and I got it last year. So
is there a Chris Candido?
Yep, and I have it autographed. It's two. Yeah.
Wow, that's great.
He's my favorite wrestler of all time, so I have a real soft spot for him.
I love Chris Candido. Yeah. That makes a lot of sense because did you beat some Chris Candido into Max?
I think I do, like, subconsciously. I don't know.
He's done. I mean, he knows some of it, which for a guy his age is unusual to know as much about Chris as he knows.
For sure.
But he has a good working Chris Candido knowledge, which again, when I meet like guys in their early 20s, I usually don't have. But Max
for sure,
a pretty special guy.
Everyone remember that I used Ric Flair as Chris Candido. He was my.
That is great. That is great. That is crazy as your skip. Yeah, that is amazing. I mean, I didn't know that would be your favorite wrestler of all time, Brian. I love Chris Candido.
Yeah.
When I was trading for those Smoky Mountain tapes, like I said, when I was about 13 years old, absolutely love Chris Candido and the Heavenly Bodies on those shows as some of my favorite heels of the era. And Chris and Tammy, I thought, were so fun on those shows. And Tammy and Brian Lee were fun on those shows, and all three of them together.
I think as I got, like, I always liked him as a kid, and then as I got older and into the business, I thought his ability to have a good match with anybody of any size and kind of, work to the situation, I just really always have admired. And growing up, I would go to all these indie shows that he would be on, and I would just harass him and talk to him, and he's always so cool to me. And then actually, the grand opening of this school, the first time I ever trained, he was the head trainer, and I trained with him for 2 hours, and then the school closed and never had another day of being in session. But that was my first time in a ring, and there's a lot of sentimental things behind it, too.
That is awesome, man.
Yeah.
What year was that?
That was spring 2003.
Wow.
So I was going to USA. I went to USA Pro Wrestling shows growing up a lot. For this guy, Frank Goodman, who's promoter, some people know. Yeah. He was like the local Long Island indie guy. So when he'd bring in, I mean, I saw like LOD on those shows. Like he spent some money sometimes, so it was pretty cool.
Yeah, I remember those shows. I never went to one of those, but that's awesome, man. Yeah, that is so. Chris Candido, that comes full circle from Matt's Ric Flair story.
There you go. That's what I was trying to. I was trying to get back to that. That's why I brought it up.
That's great.
Yeah.
Tony, we don't want to keep you all day, but we do have to ask. This is a very important question. Is there anything that you wanted as a kid, or as a tape or a figure that you just couldn't find, and to this day, you still don't have? Or is there something that like you've heard, like there's rumors that exist, but you haven't found it? Like
I got it. Yeah, the thing I wanted the most, I got it, and then once I got to a certain age, it's like, and this is probably the last thing the audience, your core audience, is going to want to hear, but I'm super honest, and I'm known for being super honest. So like, they were my favorite things, and now I do regret it a little bit, but I had accumulated through internet trading some LJNs when I was trading for tapes, and I always really wanted to have the Hart Foundation and the British Bulldogs.
Oh yeah.
I got them. I had the British Bulldogs and the Hart Foundation, but then I had no money. And I had I would buy stuff, I would buy tapes, I would buy toys, I would trade stuff, trade tapes, trade toys, and it's a constant shuffle. And when I was in high school, I would get like $5 a day to eat lunch, like that's all I had.
Right.
And so like, and you couldn't even stretch that and save that because I would literally spend most of the $5 at high school to eat lunch. So like really for me, I ended up having no choice because I needed tapes and I needed to keep learning about wrestling. And I don't regret this decision, but I wish I still had them. I traded my British Bulldogs and my Hart Foundation for tapes.
Oh man!
And I needed the tapes, and I needed to keep soaking up wrestling. And they were really special to me, and I do miss them. But I got a lot of good Japanese wrestling tapes and learned a lot, and also some Mid-South stuff. I learned some good stuff there. Wow. And but someday I'd like to go back and get my my LJN Hart Foundation and British Bulldogs back. That'd be nice.
We'll ask some people.
We can't end it on that note. That was sad.
We'll ask some people. I'm sure we could find somebody who wants to do a little trade.
I don't want to. Didn't want to make this a whole thing and a sob story of me. It was actually I traded those were the ones that I cared about, but it was in a big package of wrestling toys. But the ones that were the most. A lot of them had been with me a long time, and the ones that were the hardest to part with were definitely those two, because my whole childhood I went everywhere looking for the LJN, especially the Hart Foundation, just tapes were such a big part of learning about wrestling at the time, and now I can go back and get them. I mean, for me, accumulating stuff, the biggest thing you accumulate in wrestling is friends and relationships. And that's what's cool, because like that's what I was saying to you guys is like the person who has those, like he's still my friend. Like, you know what I mean? I traded him, he traded me the tapes for those, but like, I mean, and his kids, he had kids at the time, so it made sense, because I was like, I was like 17, 18, and I wasn't going to play with him as much, and he had kids that would play with him, and I needed the tapes. But it's like what I was saying to you guys, like, you guys are friends, like if you guys share, but you guys don't share that mentality. Clearly you can't, you wouldn't be able to share.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't. Not with Matt. No, I can't. No.
Well, that's how I felt. It's my friend. I traded him to my friend, and he traded me the tapes. But I could certainly look to trade him back, and he's still a big AEW guy. So at some point, I'm sure he would consider trading them back for some seats.
Maybe he's hearing this and there's like one tear just coming down his eye, and you guys are gonna.
I don't think he. I knew. Hey man, it was if it sounds hard now, it was hard then. But those are the decisions you make, and I had to see more people, and I had to see Misawa, and I had to see Kobashi and Kawada and Akiyama. And
let's end it with this, right? Let's do a hypothetical. 2 years from now, the Unrivaled collection is just booming. There's plentiful series. How would you feel about a build a Tony Khan?
Well, I'll tell you this. They scanned my head.
Oh, breaking news here on the Major Wrestling Figure Podcast.
I don't want to do it. I have no interest.
It wouldn't be like an honor? I'm not saying like the next set, but like, things are rocking and rolling.
When they were scanning everyone's head, they asked me to come in, and I was like, what do you need to scan my head
So it's
for?
on the table.
But when they first did it, they asked me to do a head scan. So what am I going to say? No.
I can picture a big Dynamite entranceway with Tony Khan.
Yeah. There's a
That'd be
UFC
awesome.
Dana
Just a
White
desk,
figure.
like,
You can get one.
put me right behind it and never see me. Just put it like so it's back there behind the set. That's great.
Come on,
that's awesome.
Would it be an honor though? Would it be something special to you?
Oh, it'd be great. It'd be cool if we did it. I like one thing I did do is like this is so dumb. Did you guys ever pay somebody to make customs for you?
Oh yeah.
We still do to this day.
To this
But
day,
they're not
actually,
what you wanted it to be.
there's people in our Patreon that do stuff that will blow your mind. Just incredible. It's
I've
artwork.
seen some of it. I've seen some of the stuff
Yeah.
people do. It's amazing today, but like the technology was not like when I was a kid was not as good. Like I bought it was a decent effort. I bought a diesel from a guy, and I bought a diesel Hasbro, and it was Brutus in a Hasbro, but like he had the big eyes. And he was like repainted black, and like but it was Brutus's head, and like it was okay. It was like, the writing where he screwed up was like the diesel, like he hand wrote it on, and it didn't look good.
No.
And like he did it with like a silver tip marker, and it was respectable, but it just didn't work for what I was looking for at that point. But I did try to solicit customs at one point, and it just wasn't what I wanted.
I still have scars on my hands to this day because in junior high I had a little custom making business that I would a side business. And my big popular item at the time, so this is like Attitude Era, is I would make Stone Cold Steve Austin. So I'd make the person give me like their Warlord. I'd take the Warlord head and I would like carve off the mask and I'd put it on a Roddy Piper t-shirt and like $1 Million Man leg or Bushwhacker legs, depending on who they had. And it was like a Street Gear Stone Cold Steve Austin. But with the X-Acto knife, I would cut my fingers all the time. It's a dangerous business, this custom business.
Well, that's great. That's great. I've never made a custom, but I did try to buy them. Here's a random one for you. Did you guys ever get those Lucha figures that they had in the back of the toy magazines? Like I know they had Atlantis.
Yeah, CMLL. I have all of them on a card too in my closet right here, actually. It's Vampiro, Piroth, Lizmark. Yeah. But then
I didn't really know who those people were yet, but I remember.
Do you know there's a AAA line like with Ray's like rookie figure, some of the most rare stuff ever? Yeah.
No.
Around the same time. Around the same time, 90. And actually, no. That CML set's like 92. The AAA set's like 94.
Okay, because the CMLL, I was really young when that came out. I didn't know who those people were yet, and then because like to your point, like then a couple years later, like when Worlds Collide, I knew who like Atlanta.
When Worlds Collide. I'm pretty sure I bought from Michael from High Spots when I was a kid, and that like changed my whole life as far as wrestling, because just you see this whole other world when you only know WWE and WCW, Yeah, that was a big deal.
Did you guys buy tapes from John McAdam ever?
That doesn't ring a bell for me. I think I bought from High Spots, but I don't know if it was High Spots then, but it was Michael Bokikio.
He's got a podcast now, and I haven't talked to him really since I got into the wrestling business for real, but he was a guy that when I was a kid, he would sell tapes, and I didn't have money, so I did his HTML at one point for tapes.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Jeff Bowdren, who used to like write stuff in the Observer for Dave. He had
Rob Naylor, right?
Rob Naylor's a guy I knew on message boards, and he doesn't know me as me, but like I knew Rob Naylor on the Death Valley.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But before that, like John was a guy who had a huge tape list, and it was funny too because it was like the ultimate like on a trip or whenever you're just killing time reading. It was like really fun because he would write like pretty sarcastic, kind of like Meltzer, but like sarcastic write-ups on every match, and like, or sometimes they were informative, but they were sometimes sarcastic, and like they were great. And that was how I got some tapes. I never really bought much stuff from High Spots. Now that I think about it, though, I got a lot of stuff from John, and then I would trade with people. But I haven't been a big High Spots user, although I know they had a ton of stuff on there.
Yeah. That's just how I discovered it with the internet and stuff. The infancy of my internet searching.
I think something we've learned doing this podcast is like everyone collected something, was passionate about something. Like your number one thing were the tapes, ours were the figures. But I think as wrestling fans, it's like just this brings us so close together that we all have this love for this business, and whether it be through figures or tapes or foam items like myself, we are all so passionate about this.
I had a brief window where it was my favorite thing, Matt. I was like, I don't want to gloss over my toy love, because there was a few years where it was like before tapes, toys were my favorite thing, and I would go to the used toy stores and try to get everything, and it was primarily wrestling, but it wasn't just wrestling. I mean, there were starting lineups, G.I. Joe. You guys probably could talk I'm guessing, I don't know, but I bet the two of you guys could talk G.I. Joe for a long time. Yeah, I was guessing. But the G.I. Joe cartoon also was kind of cool for me getting into wrestling, because I was, Sergeant Slaughter, and then they turned Sergeant Slaughter heel, and you also know him as this dude who, trained like Flint and or not Flint. I'm sorry, Falcon. Is Falcon Flint's half brother? I think
I'm not sure.
I'm pretty sure he is. And I also think Falcon is Don Johnson in the movie, the voice of Don Johnson. And that movie is tremendous. I would highly encourage anybody who hasn't seen the G.I. Joe.
The original animated? I just remember the theme song in the beginning. And like that, I watch it all the time. Yeah, I had the VHS when I was a kid,
Yeah, I love that. And so Sergeant Slaughter, that was how I first got acquainted with Sergeant Slaughter before wrestling. The first time I really saw wrestling was actually on the A-Team when Hulk Hogan was playing Hulk Hogan on the A-Team.
Oh, wow.
And then went and saw in the stores and the Hasbros. But there was a period where just toys in general were a huge, huge part of my life. And wrestling, first and foremost, and I think wrestling really with the Hasbro and Galoob, they were making, for me, the best toys of the early 90s. But there were other stuff, that would come out. Certainly Batman, when the Batman films came out, had some great toys. The X-Men had some great toys. Iceman, I remember being I have an Iceman on card. I don't know if that's valuable now, but it was a really hard one.
The Iceman X-Men, it came with the thing where you'd actually make a ice surfboard.
Yeah.
It was like an ice tray, and you make it, and you wait, and then you take them out, and you have them on a block of ice to push them.
Mine's on the card, so I never made.
Well, you should open it up, play with that bad boy.
I have apparently all this stuff's in storage. My mom was great about it. I haven't been home in a while, especially because of COVID. I've got to go back and check out all that stuff. But yeah, there was a period where the toys was my favorite thing, and I look back, like I said, on the period of action figure news and toy review, going through all that stuff, and it was really fun. And there's just nothing better than wrestling toys. I mean, to end on if we're actually going to end this time, to end on a happy note, one of my favorite things is it's always, and now I'm so excited to be able to do it with our own toys, with AEW, with our own company. My favorite charity gift for like Toys for Tots or any like toy drive is always wrestling toys. I think they're the most fun to play with. The conversations we've been having, like some of the other toys aren't necessarily as conducive to like might for a sports game, for example, like starting lineups. You don't have the whole team, whereas with wrestling, if you just have two, you can make it work. And that's why I always try and buy 2-packs, so you can do stuff with two. So if I always either like package two together or a 2-pack, so that any kid that opens it up like doesn't just have one wrestler, because that's like frustrating when you just have one. Sometimes you look for anything to put with it, but there's only so much you can do with one wrestler or another. So I like to give two if possible, or sets. So I'm really excited that for the first time ever now with toy drives, it can be our own AEW toys, because I think that's like one of the best things you can put in a charity drive, in a toy drive, a Christmas gift for kids, especially underprivileged kids. It's a really nice thing to do. So I'm really excited. The holidays are a long way away, but as we look towards the holidays and people start collecting toys for toy drives, I think these will be excellent toys for toy drives, and they're great toys. And that's one of the nice things about it. I was excited about.
It's you perfectly said it. And like, these kids are going to get these figures, and maybe in 15, 20 years, like, they're going to remember that morning that they got that AEW figure. And who knows, maybe those figures turn them into diehard fans that they had to, get into the business too, all because of these figures.
That's it, man.
It's crazy how this business works.
It's sentimental good feelings, man.
Was the original Ultimate Warrior a jumper?
Yep.
The original is a jumper.
With the weight belt. You want to tell Tony about the weight belt before we go?
Real quick, and then we'll really go.
This is fun.
I don't know if you remember, he has a weight belt on. Like,
is it green? A green weight
yes.
belt?
Yeah, for no apparent reason. It's very bizarre, right?
Yeah, it was weird.
We found our good friend Zombie Sailor. He's our merch dealer. He found the original artwork to the Ultimate Warrior. Because back in the day, this was all hand sketched, no computers, nothing. And he was originally supposed to come with a molded-on Intercontinental title. That last minute they shifted and said, no, let's just make it a weight belt. So thank God they did, because I think it would have been bad if he had the belt molded on the whole time.
Yeah, it would have been the yellow Intercontinental belt.
That too. Yeah, it would have been strange.
You know, would have been weird, but maybe could have been cooler than the weight belt.
But the weight belt doesn't make any sense.
Yeah,
neither one makes sense. But at least he doesn't have to wrestle the whole match with his belt on.
That's true.
Championship title on. Yeah.
But it was weird to have that be a jumper. That was my first one. That was my first wrestling toy. I think the first ones I got were Ultimate Warrior, Big Boss Man, and Macho Man. And it was like Boss Man in real life at that point had lost some weight when I got the Boss Man toy, but he was still like Twin Towers, full on gut when I got him.
Well, now you're in the toy business. You know it takes a while to get these things to the market, man.
I'm finding out firsthand.
There you go. Well,
Tony,
congratulations on the toy line.
Thank you both. It's really a pleasure. I'm excited. Brian, it's been great to meet you, man.
You too, man. So many mutual people. Yeah,
I really enjoyed it. And obviously, Matt, we'll see you tonight. And it's going to be great having Matt debut on Dynamite tonight. This has really been looking forward to it, and it's going to be a great match with Matt and Cody.
Just make sure you guys stock up on the baby oil and the wrist tape because he uses a lot, okay?
I do. That is very true. And then don't worry, I know there's no more toy magazines, but we will cover, the Major Wrestling Podcast will cover all the new AEW figures, including the ones that are on sale this week. Get the ring.
You mean the ones that are in my hands right here?
All right.
These guys,
enough, Brian. Enough. We get it. You got them. I know. Tony, thank you. Thank you so much. This is great.
Thank you. Thank you, guys. It was so fun. Thank you.